The Great Depression stripped millions of families of trust in banks, neighbors, and even extended relatives. Cash became both lifeline and liability. If you had it, you survived longer. If others knew you had it, you became a target. What followed was not panic, but quiet ingenuity. Families didn't just hide money, they made it disappear in plain sight, blending survival currency into objects no one would ever bother to steal. This wasn't folklore or exaggeration. It was a widespread, deliberate practice shaped by bank failures, foreclosures, roaming debt collectors, and a very real fear of confiscation. What matters here is not romance, but method. Cash was folded, wrapped, and aged to resemble refuse. Paper money was rarely left crisp. Families intentionally crumpled bills, rubbed them with ash, dirt, or grease, and folded them into shapes that mimicked trash. Some soaked bills briefly in weak tea or coffee to stain them, then dried them flat so they looked old and worthless. These altered bills were wrapped in scrap paper, old envelopes, or newspaper clippings and stored among genuine rubbish. A rolled stack tucked inside a wad of used wax paper looked like nothing more than kitchen waste. The logic was simple. Thieves search for neatness, not decay. Today, the practical lesson is concealment through visual downgrade. If storing emergency cash, aging the outer packaging, and disguising it among genuinely valueless items still works better than safes in certain scenarios. Kitchen containers became the first line of defense. Flour tins, lard buckets, and sugar canisters were ideal because they were constantly accessed yet rarely emptied fully. Cash was sealed inside oilcloth or waxed paper and buried beneath the contents, never at the top. In many homes, a coffee tin held real coffee on top and rolled bills below a false bottom made from cardboard or thin wood. These weren't elaborate constructions. They were crude, fast, and effective. What made them powerful was normalcy. A debt collector might overturn furniture, but he wouldn't sift through flour with his hands. Applied today, this principle favors hiding value inside consumables that people avoid contaminating or disturbing. Stoves, coal bins, and ash buckets served as secure dead zones. In coal-heated homes, ash buckets were considered filthy and unimportant. Families wrapped cash tightly, sealed it against moisture, and buried it beneath real ashes or clinker. Some hid money inside hollowed coal pieces or inside the sidewalls of coal bins. Others slid flat bundles behind stove bricks or under removable iron plates. The brilliance here was psychological. No one wants to dig through ash. Even during searches, these areas were skipped or glanced at. For modern survivalists, this translates to hiding valuables in spaces people instinctively avoid because of dirt, smell, or inconvenience. Furniture was altered subtly, not rebuilt. Rather than false panels that invited discovery, families exploited wear and damage. Loose chair rungs, cracked table legs, or sagging drawers were hollowed just enough to slide folded bills inside. Upholstered furniture often hid money beneath tacks or inside straw padding. Mattresses stuffed with horsehair or cotton frequently contained small envelopes sewn into inner layers, not at the edges. These modifications were invisible unless the item was dismantled. The key lesson is restraint. Over-engineering draws attention. Minimal alteration preserves camouflage. Walls, floors, and ceilings hid money where repairs were unlikely. Cash was slipped between floorboards, above door frames, or behind baseboards loosened just enough to slide a bundle in. In plaster walls, families exploited existing cracks or gaps near pipes and chimneys. Some wrapped bills in oilcloth and tied them to attic rafters, letting them hang behind insulation or roofing boards. These spots were chosen because they were rarely disturbed and considered structural, not personal. For modern application, the idea is to use spaces people assume are empty or purely functional, especially areas associated with maintenance rather than storage. Laundry rooms and wash areas masked money with moisture risk. Wash tubs, soap boxes, and wringer compartments were common hiding places. Cash was sealed inside rubber, oilcloth, or tin, then hidden beneath real cleaning supplies. Soap shavings were sometimes used as an extra layer of deterrence. No intruder lingered in wash areas, and few suspected value near water. This reinforces an old survival truth. People assume others avoid risk. Hiding valuables in places perceived as dangerous to those valuables can be effective when done properly. Children's items and personal clutter provided cover. Old toys, broken instruments, school books, and sewing baskets often concealed money. A doll stuffed with rags might also contain a small roll of bills stitched into its body. A stack of outdated ledgers could hide money between glued pages. Sewing kits frequently contained false bottoms beneath thread spools and needles. These were not random choices. They exploited social blind spots. Searchers ignored sentimental clutter. In modern terms, items associated with emotion, boredom, or low resale value still create effective concealment zones. Cash was divided to reduce catastrophic loss. No family relied on a single hiding place. Money was split into small amounts and distributed across multiple locations. Losing one stash did not mean total ruin. This practice came from hard experience, not paranoia. Bank failures taught people that concentration equals vulnerability. Today, this remains one of the most relevant lessons for anyone thinking seriously about preparedness. Redundancy is survival. Secrecy followed strict internal rules. Often only one or two adults knew all locations. Children were given partial truths or none at all. Some families used coded language or wrote misleading notes pointing to empty hiding spots in case of coercion. Silence was considered part of the system, not an afterthought. Applied today, operational security still matters. A hiding place known too widely stops being a hiding place. These methods worked because they matched human behavior. Depression-era concealment wasn't clever for its own sake. It worked because it aligned with how people search, what they ignore, and what disgusts or bores them. Cash survived because it looked unworthy of attention. That is the core lesson worth carrying forward. Survival is often about understanding psychology more than technology. If this kind of grounded, no-nonsense history matters to you, subscribe to Battlefield of Survival, share this with someone who takes preparedness seriously, and keep these lessons alive. The past has already tested them.